Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about a set, or rather locomotive and coach pack that I got in a rather interesting way. You see, a friend of mine told me about a friend of his who had this set of Coronation locomotive and coaches, and well, he had tossed it out in the dustbin. And my friend realized, okay, these are not toys, these are proper model trains. So he rescued them and gave them to me for me to restore, and well, basically for me to restore and keep. So this is the first time I'm actually restoring something that's been thrown in the garbage. And I did a bit of research to see where this thing could come from. It's a Hornby, obviously. And what I found on Hornby Railway's collector guide is, okay, so the locomotive is a Coronation Class 8P with simply the name Coronation on it, as you'll see subsequently. It was released for several years from 1970 intermittently right up until 2002. So little more research leads me to believe that this was probably a part of the Coronation Scott train set, which was released in 1992 and 1993. Reason I say that is because the coaches match what would have come in that set, plus of course the locomotive simply titled Coronation. And if we look at that set, it was released for just 2 years. You've got the locomotive, you've got 3 coaches which you're going to see subsequently, you've got a controller, and it says that in 1993 only even a super sound unit was included. Now I do have a super sound unit from another set, and I have done a review of it as well, but this was something quite rare. It was a little standalone thing that, you just press buttons on it, plays respective train sounds. Pretty cool, I gotta say. But yeah, this set came with that, and according to Hornby guide, around 5,000 of this set were produced. So yeah, it's not exactly a rare set, fair enough, but nevertheless it's a very interesting challenge for me. Okay, let's see how we are going to go about this by taking a look at how the items were given to me, in what condition they were given to me, and you will see the journey through the video. Stay tuned. Right, so let's see what have we got in this box here. First up, we've got a tender, and by the weight of it I can tell you that this is a tender driven locomotive, which is how most of the Hornby and other manufacturer locomotives from this time period, I'm guessing 70s or 80s, were like. Let's have a look at the underside. There we go, Hornby, made in Great Britain. The wheels seem to roll fairly alright. We've got some traction tyres that seem to be in okay condition, I guess, for now. I must see if my Ringfield traction tyre spares will match this or not. Can just about see the gears there, but I know that if I put this on the track, it's not gonna run, and the reason for that is because you have a power pickup on this side from the tender wheels, and then you have a drawbar going to the locomotive and picking up power from the locomotive's wheels on the other side. That would be the ones on that side of the locomotive. So tender looks to be in fairly decent nick. Of course dusty, because like I told you earlier in the intro, this thing was rescued from the bin, so to speak. I'm just grateful that I got my hands on this. Let's see how much of this loco and carriage set I can restore. That's the tender for us. You can see it's got a rather rusty coupler on it, but it's got a coupler. I'm going to show you why that's important in a few minutes, or rather few moments. Okay, let's put the tender aside there. Now the one that I feel needs the most attention is this locomotive, and you can see the connecting rods are out, the body is half out. That's because you can see the screw has come out there and it has been stripped off from its thread there. Now these are all things that I can fix, but the connecting rods is a bit of a tricky one, and I'm moving the wheels by hand and they feel a bit constricted, so there's a bit of lubrication needed there, you can see. And if I look here, you can see that thing, the spring-loaded drawbar there, which helps the locomotive pivot on corners, and you can also see the 2 power pins there. So what would happen is those would interface like that there. They would be touching the center, the pin, and conveying power from this side. So what I'm saying is these wheels on the loco will be picking up power and sending it to the tender, which then passes the power out from these wheels, or vice versa when you change the direction. So you can see how these locomotive and tender sets, when it was tender driven, are actually quite critical in terms of having both parts of this married set, so to speak, connected. Like for example, my newer Flying Scotsman and my Tornado Pullman, those are locomotive driven, so the motor is in the locomotive and you have all 6 locomotive wheels of those picking up, so they can run on the track without needing the tender or the locomotive, basically their other half, so to speak. This one can't. It needs to be married together. And the reason for that is they can't put pickups in the tender because of the traction tires. And the reason for the traction tires is because, well, to give it traction to pull all those coaches. So yeah, tender, I'm pretty confident I can get that running. This, little less confident, and what that means is if I don't get this running, then the tender is good as useless. So, well, little bit apprehensive about that. But on to a happier topic. But before that, let me also show you that some of the locomotive detailing, like these handrails and things, missing on one side, broken on the other side. So yeah, there's a bit of stuff missing from this locomotive, but we've got the cab detail and things intact there. So I guess, well, let's see how this pans out. I'm going to put those in and I'm going to show you the carriages. Now, the carriages are in pretty good nick. I got them, some came without bogies, and that's fine because I have actually ordered the bogies, the bogie frames and the wheels from eBay. So those should come in due course. These just need a good clean, which I will first do with a brush and dry cleaning, so to speak, or with a damp cloth. Failing which, I'll have to take them under the tap and scrub them with a brush and a bit of light hand wash soap. You don't want to scrub too hard because you don't want to remove the detailing. I'm going to follow the techniques used by the YouTube channel called Sam's Trains, where he cleans old locomotives and rolling stock in some of his videos, because I think that is the best way to go about it. Now this coach has no bogies, which is fine because, like I said, I've ordered them from eBay. Let's have a look at this. Now this has one bogie, okay, and we've got a rather rusty coupler as well. That's okay. I have replacement couplers, and like I said, I've actually ordered 4 bogie frames and sets of bogies. A set of bogies has 2 wheels and axles. So yeah, I mean, I have enough to put for this one and this one. I'm going to replace, I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to replace the bogies on both these carriages and give them a good clean up. And finally, we've got a carriage here with intact bogies. So that's basically, that one just needs a good clean up. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is, yes, that is what would be called the brake coach. It has a brakeman's and luggage compartment at the rear. So yeah, overall, I'm really confident that I can get these carriages into serviceable condition. Like I said, locomotive and tender, less so, mainly because of the nature of how they need to be connected together for them to work electrically. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I've done is take apart the locomotive and the tender, and I've given both the bodies a good wash and brush with dish soap, because I deemed that the dry brushing and dusting wasn't going to be good enough for it. So here we are, you can see the coronation body of the locomotive has been washed, as has the tender. You can see it's still slightly wet, it has to dry. And we can see the innards of the locomotive. Now that's going to need quite a bit of work to get those connecting rods back. At the worst, I may disconnect some of them and risk being not prototypical, but well, I want to see this thing running first of all. So that's why I washed the bodies. Also, it gives me a little more incentive to get the mechanism running if the bodies look good. Here is the ring field motor which you find in the tender. You can see it's got 2 weights there and there to help with traction. So I mean, this thing's got weights and traction tires, so it should really be an exceptional puller, so to speak. But I don't know, is this motor dead or is it alive? Well, we have to find that out. I'll give it a good service and then, well, I'll be back. So what I did here is I have hooked up the motor to direct power from the tracks there, and I've run it a bit. I mean, it seems to be a fairly good runner. Initially there were a few smells that emanated for the first few seconds, but as you can see, when I turn up my Gauge Master controller, it starts. We are at just 40% on the controller. You can see it's spinning very nicely. If we go for 50%, let's take it all the way up to 70, 80, 90, 100. Happy runner. runs all the way at, okay, this is 30%. You can see the wheels are still turning. Reverse direction. Once again, we've got similar kind of performance at, what have we got there? 40%. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So, doesn't seem to be anything majorly wrong with this thing. Maybe the gears need a bit of greasing on them. You can see if I tilt it and show you, yeah, those gears are a bit dry. I'll put a bit of oil on the motor bearings as well, and I took a opportunity to clean the two power pickup wheels as well. As you can see, they are noticeably shinier than the center axle, which is known as a blind axle or a dummy axle, because you can see it doesn't have, the flanges are not as deep as on the others. No point cleaning the wheels with traction tires, of course. So this is even more incentive for me to, well, get this locomotive in some sort of shape where it can actually send some power to the tender and power it along, so to speak. Exciting stuff. Stay tuned. So what are these? Well, I have made this thing massively inaccurate for now by taking away most of the connecting rods, and in doing that I see that the mechanism is actually quite okay. I mean, there's a bit of tightness. Naturally, I haven't given it a clean yet, but I mean, this could just about work, you know, now that I've got the tender working more or less. I'm really keen to put the two together and see this send power from one pickup to the tender and see this thing actually scoot along the track. So for now, I've removed the connecting rods, majority of the connecting rods, just to see if I can clean this up and see if it's electrically sound to send power into the tender, because if it's not, then, well, this is more or less useless. I'll have to figure out something else. Maybe find just find a loco only without the matching tender. So for now, I don't mind the inaccuracy. I'm going to take this thing apart, clean, lubricate, and see how it fares. Okay, I took out the base keeper plate, and I'm pleased to see that there are proper bearings in there, but the mechanism doesn't seem to be totally free spin. You can see the connecting rods are just coming out, the pins are coming out, and well, that plus the way the screws were a bit stripped leads me to believe that someone's tried to open up this locomotive before and, well, not very successfully at trying to service it. So I guess I'm going to have to see how best I can repair this thing. So here goes, time for a good cleaning of all the wheel bearings and axles and lubricating them, taking into account that there is power pickup going on as well here. So that creates a nice little challenge for me. Stay tuned. So you saw the locomotive on its first run around my layout, and it wasn't the best runner, and it also had a little wire between the loco and the tender, of course. Since then it's running a bit more smoothly, but what I've discovered is that, well, the original connecting rods are a bit mangled. I suppose when this loco was thrown in the dustbin, it took a hit somewhere and these got mangled. So I don't think I'm going to try straightening them out and getting them to work. I'm just going to go online and see if I can get a fresh set of connecting rods for the loco. In the meantime, it's going to run without connecting rods, which I agree is going to look a little bit silly, but then again, you can see it's a streamliner. So the wheels themselves are like pretty much fared in quite a bit, so I'm hoping nobody will notice, and well, it's a temporary solution. Also, what I did is with the body shell, the place where the screws locate had cracked, so I have fixed that and that with super glue. Interestingly, you can see on the inside it says made in Great Britain, Hornby. Very nice. And also, since most of the I don't know if they're called, whether they're handrails or what rails they are, most of those were broken, but you can see we've got some nice little anchor points there, so I might try to fabricate something with thin steel wire to bring this loco back to looking its best. I mean, it is quite a beautiful loco, even though admittedly there isn't a great bit of detail on this body shell. Of course, being a streamliner, we can easily get away with that, but there's also no proper interior, so to speak, apart from a few details. Of course, this will be getting a crew. I need to order a crew for it. As for the tender, well, that doesn't really need much. We've seen it running. We've seen that the motor is in good order and I have serviced it. So, I mean, mechanically and electrically this thing is fine except for the connection between the tender and the locomotive, which, as you saw on my video with a little wire running between them, this connection is iffy to say the least because it's rusted and I don't want to try cleaning it up and have endless problems. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run a semi-permanent wire between the two. I just need one wire because the loco picks up power from one rail and the tender returns it through the other rail. As you can see, we have the two power picking up wheels there and there. So because of that characteristic, I just need only one wire between the two, which I'll attach somewhere to this metal chassis and discreetly run it between the two units in a semi-permanent fashion, so that if I absolutely need to disconnect it, I can do so. But for now, that is how this beautiful streamliner is going to have to go. So I'm going to put these away for now, and next thing that I'll be working on, like I said, is getting that connection going, clean things up a bit more, and let's see how the set pans out. So after multiple attempts to rescue the locomotive, I have to conclude that it is, well, not worth rescuing at the moment. Now the tender with the ring-filled motor is perfectly serviceable, no issues there, everything works fine. You can see I've cleaned and lubricated it. You can see the wheels roll nicely. Could probably use a new set of traction tires, but that's a very minor thing. I probably even have the spares, I must check. So nothing's up with this tender, that's fine. But the reason why this locomotive is not salvageable is simply because of, well, the locomotive. Now you saw that the connecting rods were in pieces, so I'd have to get a new set of those, which wasn't a deal breaker for me. What was a deal breaker was two things. One is that the loco tender connection. You can see I've tried to run a wire here, but it's not successful because, well, there is some rust on the body of the loco in certain places, and that is a problem. Particularly we look at the wheels, the main wheels here, where power is picked up from that wheel there and that wheel. I'm going to bring it closer to the camera because I really want you to see this. You can see that, yes, that is rust. That wheel shows it even better, and that's a real issue because these wheels were cleaned just a few days ago and again they have rusted over, which means that, yes, this is from the old era of Hornby products where they didn't really use nickel silver and stuff. So yeah, rust was a problem, especially when the coating on the wheels had been worn off, which it seems has already been done on these wheels. So that's the deal breaker, the major deal breaker for me, where even if I were to repair this loco, I'm going to have to keep cleaning its wheels, well, every few days, whether I run it or not. And for me, that's just not worth doing. There are a few other minor niggles, like for example, yeah, the body doesn't sit properly on the chassis, it sits a little too low at the front. But all those are fixable with a few modifications if this thing was worth fixing in terms of its electrical issues stemming from the wheels. So what I could do is, I guess I could get a new wheel set, but then that means in addition to getting a new set of connecting rods, I have to get a new wheel set as well. I have to figure out here how to make this kind of connection more reliable, and, well, bottom line is I don't feel it's worth it right now. That doesn't mean I'm going to chuck this in the bin. I'm definitely going to keep it aside, because if I do come across another Coronation loco that's being sold as spares, but components like its wheels and connecting rods are in good condition, I might pick that one up. Or if I find just somebody who's just selling the loco without a tender for whatever reason, I might pick that up as well. But what I have to conclude for the loco part of restoration of this garbage bin find is that the loco is beyond my scope of restoration at the moment. But that's okay. Let's focus on restoring the coaches now. So let's take a look at the coaches now. You can see this coach has got all wheels and bogies on it, so that's fine. Don't think I need to do anything about that apart from give it a really good clean up. Well, all of these need a really good clean up. This has one bogie, okay, fine, needs a clean up. This has no bogies, okay, fine, needs a clean up. Best part is none of these have any electrical stuff on them, so I can basically use soap and water. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean one coach and then show you the contrast. Okay, I'm back, and I've got to say, I'm very pleased with the result of my cleaning. Well, here it is. Have a look at that. I would say it's about 90% near new condition now. And what I did is basically water, cool water, a bit of hand wash soap, and a soft children's toothbrush, because you don't want to scratch anything on these. And well, that was enough. I mean, you can see this is a washed coach, this is an unwashed coach, and well, keeping the two side by side, you can see that my little work, which took me all of 5 minutes in total, has paid off. I mean, I would have loved to show you this while I was doing the process, but well, I do have an action camera, but you see, when using it for my other channel, RevMatch, which is an automotive channel, I had strapped it onto a car and we were doing some tests, and it was quite a nice, swift accelerating car, to say the least, turbocharged. So when we were accelerating it, the camera came loose and we ran over our own camera. So yeah, I don't have an action camera that works anymore, so I couldn't have shown you the cleaning process, but I followed quite closely what Sam on Sam's Trains does to clean his dirty rolling stock, which is, yeah, basically brushing. And well, he uses warm water because he's in the UK and it's cold there sometimes. I just used normal cool water in Sri Lanka, which is basically room temperature, around 25-30 Celsius water, so that's fine. And hand wash. That's it really. So now that I've shown you what one coach looks like after being washed, I'm going to go and wash the other two as well. Well, would you look at that? All three look fantastic, don't they? Yes, it needs a bit of drying still, which I'm going to do. I'm going to keep them under the fan after this and get them all nicely dried up. But I think basically these coaches are done in terms of the restoration or refurbishment that I was doing on them. Only thing pending is that, well, this needs 2 bogies and 4 axles, sorry, and this needs 1 bogie, but that's okay because I've ordered wheel sets for these. In fact, I've ordered enough wheel sets to replace the wheels on this and this, which gives me this as a spare. This one's okay, I think. So yeah, and as we speak, as I'm recording this footage, parcel tracking tells me that the package with the wheels is in Sri Lanka. So the postman should be along with it in the coming week. It's a Saturday as I'm recording this. It's the last Saturday in December. So yeah, the wheels should be along soon, and the next bit of footage for this particular endeavor will be these coaches with wheels, and then we'll put them on my track and have them run around. Okay, so the next step after cleaning these coaches is to give them new wheels, and I'm really happy because this arrived a few days back. I'm shooting this particular clip on the 1st of January 2025. So, well, you probably already seen my first video of the new year where I said Happy New Year. I'm going to say it again, Happy New Year. And you can see I've already opened the package to check the contents, which is what we've got some nice bogie frames and we've got some nice wheels. So what we're going to be getting up to now is giving each coach a new set of wheels. So I'm going to start with the coach that has no wheels, simply because I guess we should treat the sickest patient first, right? So let's get these wheels out of their nice little Ziploc bag first of all. Quite curious, I ordered these wheels expecting there to be 2 in a set, but there were actually 4, so I've actually gotten twice as many wheels as I need. But that's perfectly alright, because you can never have too many wheels for your model trains. So the first step is you're going to get the wheels into the bogies like that. And well, you can't see it on the camera, I'm just going to show it just there. Let's see how they roll. Okay, very nice, that one's good. Let's do this one as well under the camera. Okay, let's get it in there. It's a little fiddly. Well, seems okay, I guess. I feel like the bogie frame is slightly too big, or the wheels are slightly too narrow, but well, testing it on track doesn't seem to be any issues. And the final step is, let's take a coach and let's Oh, I almost forgot. Silly me. How am I going to couple these things? Well, for that, I have got some couplers, and they're all here along with many of my other model train stuff in a large organizer style box like this. So I think it's a very good idea to get yourself something like this as well, because you've got various little things in little boxes. You can see, for example, I've got some Hornby Ringfield brushes and springs and spare parts going on there. Oh, there we are. Sorry for bumping the camera. I seem to do that a lot on my videos. Hornby couplers. So let me just put the box aside and let's open this little box and, well, let's liberate some couplers. I think it'll be a lot easier to install couplers on the bogies before we get to installing the bogies on the coach. So got two couplers there. Let's see how this is going to pan out. I hope these couplers will fit. I mean, I'm testing this on camera for the first time once again. So let's see, are they the correct type? Are they going to fit properly? Well, what do you know? Yes, they are. Slightly tight, but I guess I can do a bit of adjustment on them if they need it. Otherwise, I'm just going to let them be. Because with model trains, if something doesn't need too much adjusting, you're better off not sticking your hands into it. So there we are. We've got two nice sets of bogies there. Let's clip them on. Here we go, the other end. Oh, what do you know? This coach has now got a full set of brand new wheels. Well, not brand new wheels, they're used wheels actually in good condition. And I think the bogie frames themselves are brand new. The couplers are definitely brand new. So there we are. We've got one coach good to go. This is the second coach. This is the one. This one has got actually everything it needs. So I'm not going to mess around with things that don't need messing around with. So that coach is alright. The third coach, now I'm going to give this new bogie frames as well. So I'm going to pop this bogie off. Keep it carefully in my collection of bogies and bogie frames. And I'm going to get myself a set of new bogie frames there. A set of, well, used but in good new condition wheels. And do the same thing. So keen-eyed viewers might notice that there's going to be a slight mismatch of things here, because the coach that had all its original wheels on it, I'm assuming original wheels, has plastic wheels with white wall wheels, so to speak, whereas the new wheels I'm doing are actually metal wheels. So I might actually do a metal wheel swap on this as well, because metal wheels do give a far smoother ride quality, and I have to say I feel it's a little cheap of Hornby to be whacking plastic wheels into their model rolling stock, because I mean, you want things to run well, don't you? And I've always found that metal wheels run better than plastic wheels. They are far less likely to get out of shape, out of round, that is. Now here we've got a little bit of an interesting thing going on with this bogie. The wheels seem to be just a smidge too small, but I think we're going to be okay there. Yep, I think that's okay. I just need to be really... Oh no, hang on. Okay, let's try another wheel. Sometimes it may be that particular wheel that's gotten a little, it's not 100% perfect fit, because, okay, this seems okay. We need couplers as well. Here we go. Two new couplers coming right up. There's one. And here is the second one. Apologies for if I'm being a little sluggish here. I'm just not used to doing a lot of this technical stuff on camera. But I must do it on camera, because then I can actually show people who want to do it but don't know how to do it, how it should be done. So we're just teasing that coupler onto there's a little nub there. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. It's not quite seated yet. Just trying to tease it on there and see if it'll get held on. Yes, it appears to have gotten held on. and a wheel has come loose slightly. I really need to see why these bogie frames are. Maybe just squeeze the bogie frame a little bit without being too harsh on it, and then let's get it back into the coach like that without further ado. Do the same thing with the second bogie frame as well. Get the wheels properly lined up, squeeze things a little bit there. I wonder if in transit, I mean, make no mistake, this package was exceptionally well packed. I even left a message on the seller's eBay listing saying that it was very, very well packed, but maybe something got a little bumped or whatever, and these got slightly stretched, or the wheels could be a little too small. Either way, if I need to change the wheels, I will. I have, I think, I have bought extra wheels, so I can change the wheels if I need to. But right now, let me get this coupler in. Okay, the coupler's in. Yeah, I'm not too happy about these wheels. This particular pair of wheels doesn't seem to be playing too nice. So what we're going to do is, well, we're going to swap with another pair of wheels. I guess it was a good thing that I ended up buying extra wheels, right? Rather than just the right, exact, precise amount of wheels that I would need for this project. Because, I mean, who knew that I'd have some difficulty with some of the wheels that I purchased. There we are. Just need to squeeze the frame a little more just to really make sure that everything's okay. And pop the bogie frame in, and so there we are. We have got all three coaches having wheels now. So what is going to happen now is, well, the locomotive is not yet ready at the point of recording this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these coaches behind another locomotive, a diesel most likely, and let's take them for a run. Alright, so I've hooked up the coaches to my Hornby Class 86. You would have seen this on my channel as well because it's been reviewed. And well, let's give it a little ride, shall we? Here we go. Just turning it up. You can see the locomotive is just starting to move. It has stalled. Give it a slight nudge. My tracks need to be cleaned. And there we go. You can see the rake of coaches is getting along very nicely there. The locomotive seems to have stalled again. I'm wondering why that's happening. Let's back it up. Really need to clean my tracks, this means. Let's reverse the coaches back to make sure that they go the other way as well. Oh, look at that. Very nice. Let's go for a little bit more for higher speed. We've got 50% speed on my gauge master controller there, and let's see the locomotive come out with the three coaches there. There they go, and we will go back around the layout here and see them come around this corner here. It's almost there. I'm running it at a moderate speed because I don't want things to shoot off too much. There we are. So as we can see, the coaches seem to be doing just fine. Let's have a look at them coming around by the farm. Yep, they're just coming around by the farm at a slightly sprightlier clip. And there they go, past main station, past the XPT. You would have seen that in a video as well. So there we are. Coaches working perfectly, no issues at all. So there we are. Rather bittersweet ending to this video, I have to say. Bitter because the locomotive is not in a salvageable condition at the moment. I may be able to salvage it at some future date if I am able to secure the necessary parts, or they'll just get another locomotive. But like I mentioned, I don't think anyone's going to just sell a locomotive without the tender, which is a bit disappointing because the tender is in great condition, so I don't know, either I'll keep the tender and see if I find a matching locomotive, or get the parts to fix this locomotive, which is a long shot because it does cost a fair bit of money to get things shipped from the UK to Sri Lanka. In some instances, the shipping can be as much as the item or more. So I've got to bundle a lot of things together before I ship them down for economy reasons. So yeah, getting the locomotive running in its current form is a long shot. But the sweet part is the coaches. I mean, I've got three lovely blue LMS livery coaches. Are those LMS livery coaches, I believe? Let me see. Yes, LMS composite coaches and a brake third coach. I've got three coaches in what can be considered near brand new condition now. I mean, two of them have got new bogies and new wheels and new couplers. The third one's wheels and couplers and bogie are in fairly decent condition. The bodies look really good, I've got to say. It's amazing what a bit of dish soap and water can do, or rather hand wash and water for that matter. Dish soap is the next level if the hand wash doesn't cut it. So yeah, bittersweet ending to the video, but I've got a strong message for everyone out there. If you or someone you know has model trains and they don't like them or they want to get rid of them, please strongly encourage them not to put it in the dustbin. Advertise it on Facebook, share it on your social media, or heck, even put a newspaper ad. In Sri Lanka, we still have newspapers, and I'm sure in many other parts of the world too as well, there are newspapers. So there are avenues for you to get these things across to the people who will actually appreciate them, because model trains are actually something that those who are in the hobby really cherish. It's not just a toy train that you toss in the bin. So yeah, when I hear stories of people just tossing these things in the bin, it does get my goat a little bit, because I'm thinking, here's something that, well, if you were money minded, could actually get some money for if you hadn't tossed it in the dustbin and already ruined it a bit. So yeah, there's a strong message from me. If you don't like your model trains, or if you want to get rid of them, find a person who will appreciate them for what they are. I mean, you wouldn't throw out, say, I don't know, a fancy watch or a nice car or anything, would you? Even a car. In the UK, for example, I know people sell cars for £500. Model train collections can also cost £500 or much more than that. So just think about that. Unless your model trains are broken beyond salvation, don't toss them out in the garbage. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And I hope all of you who are into model trains really enjoy your model trains, because I know I do.